Well, Israel's former spy master is speaking out against the government's plans to overhaul the country's legal system. Journalist Iris Mackler is covering this for us in Jerusalem. So, Iris, what did the ex-spy master say?
Yes, he emerged from the shadows and he wasn't comfortable, but he said he was doing it in order to issue a stark warning. These legal changes, he says, are like nothing Israel has ever seen before. It's a judicial coup which will lead Israel into a dictatorship. Once he said that, he went on to say that what he fears is that it will also bring about the collapse of Israel's defense institution. That's the Shin Bet that he headed, the Mossad, even Israel's military, because once you change the system, once it's a dictatorship, then he fears that people simply won't defend it in the same way because it's not the same flag, it's the flag of a dictatorship or a democracy. So he said that was a terrifying prospect, that collapse. And he also said that he doesn't trust the politicians. Israel's politicians have been saying, give us the power that we are taking from the courts and it'll all be all right, trust us. And Nadav Argaman says he doesn't trust them and he doesn't trust Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu appointed him. They worked together closely for 6 years. And now he says that Netanyahu has taken his foot off the brakes. He's not paying attention any longer. And Israel is heading down towards the abyss. Coming from a man who knew him, that's a devastating assessment for Benjamin Netanyahu.
And Iris, all of these planned reforms, of course, have set off nationwide protests. We've been following them now for weeks, and they really intensified after Netanyahu rejected a compromise this week. So what can you tell us about that?
That's right. Today will be the 11th week, and the protests are being planned tonight. And every Saturday night, hundreds of thousands of people do turn out to these protests across the country, with the largest one in Tel Aviv. But what we're now seeing is protests on other days as well. We're seeing the roads being blocked, that all across the country, but also the main artery between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. And we're seeing the trade unions stepping in, starting to talk about strike action as well. All of this comes after Israel's president this week warned that Israel really could see a civil war over this issue. We've seen warnings as well as the people's protests, which we know and see. There's also warnings from professionals, economists, Moody's and other credit rating agencies. But all of this doesn't seem to affect the current government. Benjamin Netanyahu says these changes will deliver more democracy, not less, and the opponents only want to remove him from office. And it's going ahead at breakneck speed. They anticipate actually passing this legislation within the next 2 weeks, by the end of the month, when this session of Parliament ends.
Iris Mackler for us in Jerusalem. Thank you.